hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us back for a brand new edition of Social Confoes. I'm Shaluk Fasharanta, and right next to me is my co-host Diego Amarali. Diego, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Changed the light up a bit because my other lights have. I haven't been able to fix it yet, but I'm doing good. It's been I'd say a pretty okay start of the week. Can't complain. But I am happy, actually hyped, excited that we can have another fun conversation with a guest again today. And I think just to briefly give a introduction, a few months ago I was in the Young Leaders of America's Initiative program, and he's also an alumni from last year. He's from Suriname, and I actually met Ruiz. It's Ruiz Kartoredjo. Ruiz, I think 6, 7 years ago now. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. And it was, I think, an event in Torarica. I'm not sure if it was a social media event, one of the very first social media events before the social media conference ones, or was it another type of IT event? Because were a lot of events those years, and interestingly, he approached me like high energy, everything. I think Ruiz, like hi, this with his card, and it said Jamur, some Jamur Institute or something.
Jamir Institute, yeah.
He was already starting with it, and he was looking for people to build, a platform or a website to kick it off. Fast forward like 7 years now, he has that platform built. We'll dive a bit into that on how that process was, and basically all the experiences he's been through. And one reason I really wanted to is because he's energy, and he always shares opportunities and scholarships, exchange programs. I think he was also an ambassador for youth opportunities one year. He can mention that himself. But for everyone listening in and saying, there's not many opportunities or they know of opportunities but don't know where to start, Ruiz
Any
is the person to
opportunities,
talk about.
any opportunities on education, any opportunities on work. It's Ruiz who is there for us. So Ruiz, welcome to Social Confoes. How
Yeah,
are you doing?
basically, Ruiz, the inspirator, Cartorejo.
Yes,
Let's
yes,
kick it
thank
off.
you. Thank you very much, Diego and Sean-Luc, for having me for this episode. Yeah, here I am. And also welcome to all the people that tuned in. Share this one and let's talk about those scholarships and opportunities for everybody to grow. Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, but to kick it off, you quickly changed your name while you're backstage to Ruiz Cato, the Inspirator. Tell us the story on the Inspirator. I remember taking a photo for you. You're branding a shirts too, but what's the story behind this?
So I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, when a lot, or 4 years ago eventually, where there was a lot happening around us, and people are telling me also that, hey, you're very inspirational, you're very energetic, you inspire, empower people to do positive things, and I wanted to bring that kind of stuff one step forward through social media, and that was also the step to be more active on social media. And then I posted on my personal account, Ruiz Kartoredjo. I put a post asking if it's okay for somebody like me to create a public figure or a motivational speaker page. And I also asked them what kind of topics they would like me to share, and yeah, it went viral. A lot of people commented, and then I filtered it. I analyzed all those comments, and then I started Inspifader. Inspifader is just a combination for inspiration and motivator. So, and I combine those two words, and that is how motivational. That's the name that I use. Now I've reached already 5,000 connections on my personal account. So that's more reason why I chose to edit my name to the Inspifator so people can follow me on that page.
Okay, but quickly to jump in. So inspiration and motivation.
Yeah.
Like which one comes first, or which one would you say like you are more associated with?
Inspiration. That's the ultimate goal. Because I want and I am inspiring other people. Doesn't matter if you're an adult or a student or a youth. But my main focus actually is the youth and young professionals through this page. But anything extra is welcome. I just want to help contribute to the positive development of people individually, the country, companies, name it. I would say more inspirational, but the face behind being inspirational is to be motivated myself as an individual, and that's kind of the way I'm working.
So to link this to, you said you focus on, the youth and young professionals. To bring this back to Jamur, I think you told me Jamur means mushroom, padastul in Bahasa, was it?
Yes,
And
yeah.
the well, when you told me that, it kind of clicked immediately. So can you tell us the story on Jamur, why and how you started this like 6 years ago when we first met?
Woo,
What?
yeah. So
What?
it's kind of a story. Oh, sorry. You were still talking.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a great story looking back. So I think many people can relate to this. I always wanted to have a business, my own business. And the question was, what kind of business? What do you want to do? And I tried, I think, 4 or 5 things. Spend money and failed. And then I was like very down at the moment. And I told myself, one last time, try one last thing. Let's see what's going to happen. And but before going to that part, I did some self reflection on myself. What am I good at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my interests? What's happening around me? So I mapped everything out. And then I said, hey, this is where I want to be with students and youngsters, young professionals with my company. And then the next question was, okay, what are you going to do? I always wanted to educate others, inspire others to do good things, to contribute to the knowledge development, etc. And then I came on Jamur Institute. About the name, yes, actually, Jamur means mushroom in Bahasa Indonesia. That's the traditional language of Indonesia. And I always wanted something like like a umbrella kind of a way where it protects you. A lot of things can be protected under umbrella, something like that. And the mushroom kind of has that that kind of that form. Um, that's why I chose Jamur Institute. And a mushroom is also described as something to guide you in the right way. So that's you can relate a lot of things to that. And but I'm doing that in the sense of educating people, training, coaching, guiding them in school things, professional business work. So that's kind of the way we are working with Jamur. It was like 4 or 5 months before coming on that name, so it took time.
It was a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand it. And you said, before getting to that point, you did a lot of self-reflection, did, map everything out. But can you tell us a bit about the things you tried, the things you lost money on, kind of how that, like, how were you shooting and what was different then? Like,
Ooh, well, I started with I wanted to do photography, and because I saw a lot of friends doing photography, and it was kind of fun, capturing the memorable moments of people. And also for my educate my bachelor program at Ahakasio, also needed to invest in some gears, some, yeah, the photo, the
Some cameras and some
panel,
lighting, those
cameras,
kind of things.
some lighting, and I invested in that. Instead of one, I bought two complete sets through Amazon, and I started, going to parties, doing some shooting, member of making photos, and then the hard part starts by filtering all those 500, 600, 800 pictures, um, editing if needed, putting your logo. And I was like, no, that's not something for me. It was too intense for me. And suddenly I was losing interest in that kind of business. So, but I still use those cameras. I still have one left, the other one already broke. Um, and the other thing was like cleaning places for people, their homes. I started with people from the neighborhood, and that's also because I wanted to be more independent from my parents, so I was looking to do things my own. But that also failed because it was too intense, also working in very hot temperature outside, doing the cleaning. Another thing was wanted to start a platform also that has to do with real estate, with housing, renting houses for people, something like an Airbnb model. And yeah, people didn't have trust in it because they wanted to let me have some commission. I mean, I'm recruiting customers for you, so why don't you want me to have at least 10% commission of that? And that also failed. There are two others, and then yeah, are kind of the things that I tried.
So
But then yeah, I really sat down and got thinking like, okay, what are you doing? Why did it work? I didn't have the passion for those things actually. And then yeah, I started with Jamur.
were you like trying these things full times, like looking for opportunities, like in things like I want to try this, you see demand for this, or was it more like, um, yeah, I need income? Were you did you have a fixed job aside from that, or were you just trying different things full time at that
I
point?
was I was I was still a student, and I didn't have any job yet, and just tried to have something to earn, to be more independent from my parents. That's why I started doing those things.
Before we quickly jump in depth, more in depth, um, why did you choose to try to start businesses over working for a company as a student?
Uh, yeah. So I was still young, and and also my parents, they were like restricting me in some kind of way to start working, having an official job at a company. I know I can remember that one of the times I told my mother that I wanted to do some jobs in the vacation period. And she was like, no, I give you everything. Why do you want to work? This and that. And I was like, okay. Um, and that was the moment, or one of, yeah, the biggest moment, which it clicked. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because you're growing, you're a teenager. You want to start doing things yourself, and earning some money, being more independent from your parents. And when I started doing that, she saw that, okay, he's trying something. He's trying to be more responsible for the things he does and wants to do. And that is kind of the way which opened up my parents' perspective of started working at a company. My first official job was at Sun Ice Bakery. I was an all rounder, and but she was okay with that. She was like, I was bringing bread and cakes, and she was like, "Oh, thank you." So, yeah, so that's kind of it.
So what I think is interesting about your story, you mentioned a couple of jobs, And I think photography, everybody has been in the situation of, oh, I'm a photographer now because I'm a camera. Everybody had, and it really kind of boomed like 10 years ago. Like everybody was like really into photography. The interesting part about that is, I think the skills that you learn from trying that as a profession in social media, it definitely helps. But also that you mentioned the one on cleaning and real estate are things that when youngsters, like when you talk as young people and you're like, okay, where can I get money? It's like, hey, nobody wants to do this. So there's an area of cleaning where you can make a lot of money, or you should be in real estate because they say like, hey, if you want to earn money, the first thing you should do is real estate now. Even on YouTube, it's even bigger now. So I feel like that's kind of like a very normal trajectory to say the least. And I find it really interesting to see how you've kind of crowdsourced ideas at a certain point, saying like, okay, I'm just gonna go to Facebook and ask like, would I be accepted for this? What are your ideas on that? And work from that. And I think that really strengthens also wanting to do something. And also, I don't want to go too good or probably, but a mushroom has a lot of positive things you can mention about it. Shamil actually mentioned like some mushrooms are medicine, medical. You can strengthen the immune system. So in a way, Jamur Institute strengthens and develops
Can
your
enhance your
learning process.
creativity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
on that
there,
part, it has medical benefits.
it has it
So
has
yeah,
many layers. It has
yeah,
many layers, but I mean,
yeah,
like, if you are familiar with the blue economy and Gunther Pauli and making, I think, coffee from mushrooms as well, those kind of things. So there's so many different layers to it. So when I first personally heard about you or met you was kind of through social media, because at a certain point you were everywhere, like, and in a positive way actually. We talk a lot about consistency and the importance of being consistent and posting and continuous posting and just being there. And I don't know if you remember, Ruiz, but there was a year we were both nominated for Communications Person of the Year.
award,
And
yes.
after we didn't, neither Diego, by the way, neither of us won. But after the award ceremony was over, I went up to Ruiz and I was like, I really felt that you should have won it this year. And the reason for that being is like these kind of awards internationally, they go to the person who performed the best that year. In Suriname, it's kind of a legacy award. So people that win it often they have a long history of like 10, 20 years being in the business. And because this is the first time kind of they have to the award is there for their category, they kind of win it. Like we had a big discussion on the Uriari Awards one time about it because it was Gil Ake's like peak years. He just brought out a book and everything, but the jury went for Hank van Vliet because more of a legacy, how much he had achieved, and similar with the situation Ruiz and I were in. I was already to be happy to be nominated. I wasn't that active, but Ruiz was like over the. I think you won every GCI award there was
Yes.
possible to win that year, and you were the most active on social media, and you were everywhere. And I went to somebody else, and I do want to touch upon because you also mentioned you became aware I had to be more active on social media. So what was the process for you like from starting a business to really being open and communicative online and sharing everything and almost to the point that other people are like, oh, that's oversharing and you shouldn't post that much, and you get a lot of those kind of feedback as well. So how did that process go from like saying like, okay, I have a business, I have to be there, to like really making it almost like a personal brand and getting all these, yeah, in Dutch we say hogebongen vangen veel wind, like a lot of people talking about you negatively and positively as well. And how was that process for you?
Yeah, yeah. So I had those comments. And it was about why do I really wanted to be more active on social media, as a brand, as instigator, as just the individual, but also on the other side as the business Jamur Institute. So the why and what am I actually going to communicate through social media, because you want to contribute to something, and that something needs to lead to people getting something from it, if it's something they like changing their mind to think about something, or triggering them to really go do something. That's kind of the process I went to. It took some time, to really sit down and think about, okay, what am I going to do on social media? Which platforms I'm going to use? I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, in LinkedIn, and also Twitter. But Twitter, I'm still struggling with Twitter, and how to use it and utilize that.
It's a different
Um,
breed.
yeah, it's kind of a
It's a
different.
different breed.
It's
Yeah.
really different, but
It's not locally focused.
yeah,
That's
No,
that's
no
it's
the
not
main
TikTok
locally
thing.
yet.
focused.
No TikTok yet.
I tried. I tried TikTok like 4 or 5 times, and all of those times I deleted it again. I don't know. I'm not really confident and with that platform yet. I think I really need to do some more research on how to utilize it, within the context of the Inspifader, but also in the context of Jamur Institute of what we are doing. I think that will be the next step when I'm going to download the app again. But I tried to like it, to love it, but it is still not nothing for me
We'll
at
we'll
the
discuss
moment.
we'll discuss some ideas in the back end. I have some ideas that fit Jamur perfectly, so we'll figure
I
it
would
out.
love
As
that.
well as Twitter, and then you have to convince Diego and I to be more active on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
how is your experience personally? No, no, it's interesting because you mentioned different platforms. So how is your let's compare three platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. What is
Mhm.
your experience like from, especially from your expertise on those three platforms? How different are they when you consider the Inspifader story?
I'm not gonna lie. They have their own target group. We all know. Okay, Facebook is very crowded right now. But still, most of the students, and youth are on Facebook and Instagram, and that's why I'm trying to utilize it, especially through Jamor Institute, with the things we do. And but LinkedIn, I'm not gonna lie. LinkedIn brings me the big projects, and because you have business people there, you have big corporations. And also the thing I was struggling with, at the beginning, was if I post something on Facebook and Instagram, I'm gonna post it also on LinkedIn, but I need to revise the text, because the way you communicate on Instagram and also Facebook, is very different, with the way you communicate with the audience on LinkedIn. And it needs to be more professional. It needs to be more, like it needs to connect with your audience on that platform. And I'm not gonna lie, the biggest projects, the biggest business deals, came through LinkedIn, and I really love LinkedIn.
So on that note, like just to illustrate or visualize for people listening in, how much time do you spend, or like what does it look like when you go to post something? Picture. How do you decide on the text? How do you like shape all of that before posting? Like what's the time investment and like the work look like actually?
So I'm the one doing everything, at the moment. Yeah. So I would say, let's start with the frequency. The frequency on of posting on those different platforms. On Instagram and Facebook, I do it between 3 times and 5 times a week. Um, and on LinkedIn, I do it. Let me see, 2 to 3 times. As long as I see, okay, this post was like 2 days ago, and I'm creating another post. So as long as the previous post is like 2 days old, I'm coming with new content. And decided on what to share on those platforms. Sometimes, most of the times, I have sessions. Most of the times, I have projects ongoing, which I share through the Inspifader, and also Jamur Institute. Um, and the way you like I'm more flexible in the text and the message that I need to create on Instagram and Facebook. Is like more open, but that same text I'm trying to reorganize and revise, in a more direct and business way on LinkedIn.
And
Because
is that
on
a
LinkedIn,
skill you got from your journalistic background in Aha Casio, or is it like, was
yes,
that an
yes.
advantage?
And, it's a skill and like insights of the journalism communication program, bachelor program I had at IHA Casio, because you have things like creative writing, you have things like the structure, you have things like what's the message, how to capture the reader's attention within the first one, two, or three sentences. So those are things that we've learned at Ahakasio, and that was kind of a very big advantage for me on utilizing these platforms when creating content. And oh
It,
yeah, about the time, how much time? It depends on what I want to post. If it's something with a flyer or anything, then I'm just designing it in Canvas. It's like poof. And it would take a minimum of 90 minutes to 2 hours to choose an image or create a flyer. And the hardest part is like the text. Sometimes I'm writing the text first in draft in Word, and then I'm just leaving it. And after 30 minutes, I'm going back to check if everything's okay. And then it happens where I revise everything again because I think the message is not clear. This word is kind of offensive. This word is kind of too emotional for people. So those are things that I'm considering mentioning in the text because you don't want to hurt people to a certain extent because the message is like the topic of what you need to communicate.
so, and you're doing this consistently, at least 3 to 5 times a day for 3 different platforms, right? And
Yeah.
while being
It's
conscious.
it's a full-time job almost. So I think that's one of the things that gets underestimated. And I'm happy Ruiz, you mentioned 90 minutes because people don't understand. And I get upset when it takes me 30 minutes to create a TikTok. So you can imagine that at a certain point you're gonna be like, hey, is it worth it? 30 minutes a day for one channel, which means that 2 hours a day if you want to do multi-channel marketing. And then it becomes 2 hours a day, and you start realizing, like, wait a minute, I just lose 2 hours a day. But on the other side, what you mentioned, the effect that it has, and the amount of people that come in. But I'm also glad that you mentioned revising the text because currently I'm working with a team to. So that's why I'm actually quite quiet on social media at the moment, is because I'm planning a well balanced return and I don't want to fall back. So when I start, I don't want to be like after 3 months, like, okay, it dies down again. And one of the things that we discussed today with my main project manager who's working on the brand is positive text. Like like there are certain ideas and then they get brought to me, but they are written in a text that's like it's how we would talk in a general conversation, but it wouldn't work if you posted it on social media. Not that it would get canceled from it, but definitely it's not positive enough that the words would work. And I'm glad that Diego also brought in the aspect of the journalistic background. Um, do you feel that we are in Suriname already enough aware of the importance of the text that goes with the visual on social media? Where do you think we stand on a scale from 0 to 10 about awareness of the importance of text on social media?
Honestly, I would say we are at a 6. I'm gonna be really honest with you, and why I say a score of 6 is that um, one of the things that I mostly read about on social media or it just passes on my timeline is that some people just say, hey, it's my account and I'm just posting what I want. Or even business pages, companies, when they post something and then I look at it, I look at the content, I look at the picture, and I was like, that's not a good one to write something like that. Um, it's important to reconsider the thing or the text that you want to post or publish anywhere. And again, I'm linking again with the message that you want to bring out there. So what's the message? And the message you can bring in many ways. And the way you are going to write the story to that demonstrates your message really needs to be related to who are you posting it for. Is it students? Is it business professionals? What needs to be the result of that post? Do you want people have positive reactions and everything like that? But again, there is enough room for improvement. People can do better with that, and once again, they just say, hey, it's my profile, I'm just posting what I want. If it's bad or certain words, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let it be.
Okay, before we continue, because we have to move on to the ambassadorship part, ship part, and other things, there's a discussion that we're currently having with multiple people, including clients internally, and it has to do with, like you just mentioned, people say, but it's my handle. Like on Twitter, for instance, a lot of international, like management in bigger companies, they say my tweets are my own, saying like, listen. I know I work for this company, but what I say is like my own opinion. It does not reflect the company that I work for. And this has been a hot topic as well, especially on Facebook. We're not that Twitter centric in Suriname, but on Facebook, like, to what extent could you say to your employees, like, listen, your profile is public. If it has your name on it and you're linked somehow to your company, you have to abide the rules, or would you say like, okay, listen, you're allowed to have like you can work for our company, but um, you have to be either have your account not be your name, or you are not allowed to befriend people like your clients and people you work with. You have worked for bigger companies, like in management roles for bigger companies, and you've been an entrepreneur yourself. How is your approach about it, and is it different when it's a small company versus when it's a big company?
I don't think there's any difference. It has the same effect. When I was working for the Adrohisteria, very big company with 6 or 7 uh, di- different departments in Suriname. Um, I was kind of using my brand, my personal brand, in accelerating and utilizing sales and marketing purposes for the company, because people trust me as Ruiz Kartoredjo. And if I will do something bad or negative, people will still relate you with every organization that you're in. It doesn't matter if I just post and say, hey, this is my profile. I'm saying what I want to say. If it's bad words or anything like that, it doesn't affect the organizations I'm part of. Still, people will relate you. They will say, "Oh, Ruiz from Jamur. Oh, Diego from this. Oh, Sean Luke from Social Confoes. Look at those guys." And they try to inspire others. What kind of example are you setting there? So people are underestimating that kind of stuff. That it gives you a very big advantage when you have a very positive profile or track record on social media, which you can use for either the company you work for or your own business. In the beginning, people were like, "Oh, it's Ruiz from Jamur," a kind of a Steve Jobs and Apple context. They were
Right.
like, if you think of Steve Jobs, Apple. And if you're thinking about Ruiz, it was directly related to Jamur Institute. And throughout the years, I'm still kind of trying to change that perspective now, because Jamur is Jamur. But I used that as an advantage in the beginning to level up my company, to bring more awareness about Jamur Institute and also everything that I do. So yeah, that's kind of it how it worked. It has the same effect, in my opinion and based on my experience, and it worked. Yeah.
So basically, what I'm hearing you say is that people could actually depending on their activity, presence, brand, personal, call it personal brand, what you will, online, they could potentially leverage that to value add to the company or even apply for a job
Yeah,
uh, at a company based
yeah,
on past social online experience or history. You
yeah.
could leverage that, yeah,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
even based on the topic for today, which we will zoom in later about the scholarship and opportunities. When you apply for those things, they do like some due diligence. Due diligence is a kind of too big, but they are checking your social profile.
yeah.
They're checking everything.
Okay, so first of all, the using your brand for the purpose of the company that you work for, there is somebody, a speaker called Jill Rowley. I think I met Jill the first time in 2014, and Jill Rowley is specialized in the concept of social selling, saying like, listen, um, everybody in your company, from the CEO to the people that clean your toilets, they're all the brand of the company. Whereas in the earlier years, like decades ago, people would go directly to a certain department of the company to ask questions, but now they can, through social media, ask anybody a question that works for that company. So everybody in that company has to be representable. So I think that's a very interesting topic to go about, and then diving into like how that personal brand, because like Shamil was saying, like you're creating an independent brand identity. How has that brand been a part of the opportunities, the ambassadorship opportunities that you've gotten? What's is there a link between that personal brand that you build up and those ambassadorship opportunities?
Yeah, there is surely a link with those opportunities or different roles that are available locally but also internationally. I want to state this because companies or organizations with all these positions, they are looking for talented people. They are looking for people that can add value to the role or the position or the organization, based on experience, based on social presence, etc. Those are kind of the people they are actually looking for. And when you are applying, when I was applying or am applying, I still apply for a lot of opportunities. When I apply for all the scholarships and opportunities that are available, most of them, I think 99.5% of all those questions and the whole application, you will see a question where they're asking for your social profiles. You will see questions regarding what kind of content are you posting. You will see questions where you have to consent with them that you will be posting about the program or the opportunities, and putting that in the context. If you have a profile which is super negative and using certain words, they don't want to associate their brand or their name or their organizations with somebody like that. And it really gave me a lot of advantage with the record I have right now on social media. Because sometimes during interviews, because some applications, when you move to the next phase, you will have an interview with the representatives of the organization. They also state something about your profiles. I can remember, um, for the scholarship for my master program, they were like, we checked your profiles, especially Instagram, and you're quite positive person, and that is what we're looking for. Those are the students we are looking for. So that's one of the examples that I want to throw out here, so people can think about it when you want to grab all those opportunities. Make sure that you have done your homework, for example, your social presence.
So I think you made a beautiful link there on, leveraging your social brand and positioning yourself for these kind of opportunities, interviews. And you just said it, you're still applying, looking for stuff uh, to apply, learn, exchange, and you're even sharing it. So I want to take a step back to when did you apply or encounter your first, I'm going to narrow it down to international scholarship or exchange program? Like, was it through an organization? Did you just look for something online? How was that?
So the first ever opportunity that I applied for was the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative, and that was in
That was actually the first
2017.
one, like that
Yeah,
you like really went
Af-
for.
after the first group went and they came and they started promoting the opportunity, and then I applied, but I had Jamur. Jamur was nearly 1 year old. I just started Jamur, and back then they didn't really have um, rules for how long your or how old your startup or company needs to be. But it was kind of here and there with what Jamur was doing. I couldn't really articulate it, put it in text form when doing the application. So I got selected as an alternate. It's something like a waiting list. So when somebody that is selected falls out, I will get to push forward to take that position. But yeah, it didn't happen. And then I tried again in 2018. Actually, in 2019, I tried again because I reflected on what have I written in the application. Hey, this is not clear enough. Hey, my purpose of the organization is not clear enough. Actually, all those applications, especially of YLI, the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative, made it more clear for me to think about my business vision, mission, or purpose, and those kind of stuff, which worked in the second application, and I got selected. But during the application, you are really thinking about a lot of stuff about your own business. In this case of YLI, and you see, hey, I need to figure this out for my business. Hey, I need to still work on this. So that's kind of the process I went through the first time applying for an opportunity.
So basically, what I'm getting out of is that it's kind of getting this application form in front of you forces you to think differently or think more consciously about what you're doing and what you're actually applying for,
Yeah,
which in return helps
And
you,
if you
even
don't
if
want to
you
do
don't.
the program,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting for people that are watching this or listening to the recording. Um, it was Ruiz. The first time Ruiz applied for YLI, he didn't actually go. The first time Diego applied for YLI, he didn't go. I applied for DAFO once, World Economic Forum. I didn't go. I wasn't selected. And I think for people, it's important to know that you have to. I think we went through this with Moreno as well, Diego. On you really have to take your chances. You have to learn from what worked and what didn't work, and actually try. And if you're really committed to actually doing it, you will learn from it and you will get better. And eventually, you get selected for programs. And once you've got a hang of that, you've gotten better. And you have a lot of people who are like, yeah, they kind of want it, but they don't really want it, and then they look like and like, okay, they just got lucky. It's not
well,
luck. It's actually
I
a
got a
skill
question
that
for
you have
Luis
to
on
build
that.
up.
What would you
Yeah.
say to someone who's in that position? How should they, what should they think about, or what should they ask themselves? Like, do I really want it, or like how should they focus their energy on? Do I really want this or not, or is it just meh, just try?
yeah, no, no, not just mad, just try, because in the end or even during the process, you will get stuck in the whole application, or even if it works out, you get selected, and when you are doing the program, you they will also send something that you're kind of not energetic or enthusiastic about the program. They are really strict with all those things. When they send something that you aren't really participating, giving your full support or input in the program, they will like call you in a corner and they talk to you like, what's happening? Um, and you need to be conscious about it. What I do or what people need to do is this opportunity or scholarship really something for me? And if yes, which part of my plans or my business or my professional development, which part does it contribute to? For Wiley, it definitely was mostly about entrepreneurship, for my business and really bringing my business out there, connecting with international institutions. That was my mission with that opportunity. So they need to really think about, is this really something for me, and not just, oh, I just want to travel because it's fully funded and it's kind of fun. No, you are missing chances. Really, you're missing chances. And if you go consciously, you apply consciously, you think, hey, this is really something for me because of this and that, then you will put in more time and effort in filling in the application, because filling in an application can take hours or even days, because really need to think about a lot of stuff. And coming again, when you've save your application in draft, just leave it there and come back again, and then you will see that you will revise a lot of text again, to demonstrate the answers for those questions. So it needs to be a conscious and a conscious decision when applying for an opportunity.
How different or I guess similar was it? Because I know you're doing a master's actually at a university in Indonesia right now, but you're
Yeah,
still here, right? And
yeah,
that was also a scholarship application. And I think you also went to the Netherlands for a short exchange for a program.
yeah.
Like we got like the US, Europe, Asia there. Like how similar or differences were these processes? Like what you say, like you need a different approach depending on what it is. How was it for you?
You need a different approach of the kind of scholarship or opportunity you are applying for. For example, if it's a short course, they will ask some kind of different requirements. For example, the short course I went to in the Netherlands, that was last year November. Um, they for example, they asked you about an employer statement, because within that scholarship, it's mandatory for them, for all the applicants to provide an employer statement, and that is a statement from your employer, the where you the person or company you're working for, that you are aware of the fact that your employer says, hey, okay, I am allowing Sean-Luc to participate in this program, and this is the statement, this is the plan we are working on, and this is the contribution or the value that it will have to my company when Sean-Luc will participate in the program. So therefore, I am confirming or giving Sean-Luc the opportunity to participate. Um, on the other hand, the full scholarship I got from Indonesia, you have other documents, because it's a longer program of 2 years, and they ask different documentation. For example, your school papers, transcriptions. You need to have English documentation that you are proficient in English. Um, I needed to have also a statement from the Indonesian embassy for them, for stating that it's okay for me, that they grant me the opportunity to participate. So it's kind of the same process, almost the same questions, but based on the organization and what kind of opportunity or scholarship it is, they can still ask for something extra. For example, the employer statement.
So just to interject there, you had a short program and a longer form program. You should also take into account that the time it takes to get all that paperwork
Yeah,
in order, because
yeah,
that's usually a hurdle for a lot of people. You have the online application, yada yada yada, but going through the actual process, especially when travel is involved, when you know if you're going to travel for a year, 2 years, insurance, health,
yeah,
liabilities, you need to make sure you're prepared to go through all those things after you're even considered to go.
yeah,
So did you have to do any extensive screening? Because I remember when I for a while I in New Zealand, for example, you had to do a full medical check. You had to go back and forth with your doctor, get approval for this. um, for example, when I went to New Zealand, my driver's license expired, so I had to fix that. I had to go do a TOEFL test online, etc. Because that's
Yeah, TOEFL or
that
IELTS, I think.
Yeah.
IELTS, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of moving parts there that kind of, even if you get through, you're still only like 10% in.
Yes, yes, I went through that process definitely, and uh, things about, even if it's a short course, I can remember they requested um, some a medical statement. Even for my master program, they requested a medical statement from a registered doctor. The doctors, when they put their stamp and signature, they have some kind of a code. So those are kind of the formalities that need to happen
And you
because,
need, usually, especially where we are, you need to mail these documents physically.
yeah, you need to mail them. Now, okay, the
It's
ones that I
more,
have,
yeah, it's
it's
getting
like
more modern, but
digital.
some, yeah.
Sometimes they require for you to send it to mail, like plane or boat or anything, I don't know, because it needs to be physical in their hands. But most of the time they just request digital forms and documentation, and it takes quite time because I still remember that I needed to have a transcription of my grades, and also translation of my diploma, my bachelor diploma. And it would take like 2 to 3 days, and we had the deadline in 7 days. And we had the weekend in between. So I was like, I want to apply.
Oh,
I want this master. I was like, okay, going, driving, blah, 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 doing those things. I told the people, I begged those people, like, please help me. I need to submit the application within 48 hours. Can you translate this for me, please? I need the transcription. Things like a letter from the embassy, those are things like that took some time. And you need to consider that also. So the first thing looking at an opportunity is, okay, what kind of opportunity is it? What is the deadline? Oh, the deadline is XYZ. Okay, what are the things I need for this opportunity? Oh, I have this, I have this. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. And you can start planning before applying, because you need to upload those documents when you filling in the application.
So now I want to go to, you are kind of collecting now, I'd say, resources, links to different opportunities, sharing this online. How do you find these? How can people, aside from going to your profile in Facilitator, how can people look for these yourselves? Like, what's you, how, when you didn't have any resources, what did you do? Did you found it through friends, family, through organizations that you joined? What worked for you, and what can people look into alternatives?
The first one, I would say that when you are part of some organizations, for example, I'm also part of GCI. Some opportunities come and go, and the moment that you enter a certain professional international network, um, the whole world of opportunities will open up for you. For example, that of Wailai, and you get a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances to do things. So that I would put that on number one. Number two is that I took the time myself to do the research online, because I know, okay, I've done a bachelor in journalism and communication, and we don't have a master in communication course or program in Suriname. You have to go abroad. So that's also something Jamur is working on, to launch a master program in communication and journalism in Suriname. Um, but um, I put in the time. I took the time to do the research myself. But there's a big but in the whole research online. You need to look for which resources are reliable or trustworthy, because I've came across articles and blogs where there were, like things like people or students that try to apply for something, and then they never return back to their own country. Their parents never heard something again from them. Those kind of stuff. Never heard again from them. So it wasn't a reliable resource. And I'm doing some fact checking. I'm checking the websites. I'm checking their social profiles. sometimes if I see they aren't really active on social and even the website is kind of meh, I like, okay, this is
Coming
not
back to the social
you
brand.
yeah, coming back to the social brand. So um, doing your own research, doing my own research brought me to all those opportunities and platforms and channels and networks, even eventually, where I see, hey, if I join this network, I will have a space for those opportunities. If I join this international organization, I will also have the chance to get those opportunities. So yeah, also the putting the time in doing my own research, but I know that it's very intense. So that's why I also try to do the research, do the screening if it's reliable, and then also share it with other people on my profiles.
Gotcha. So make sure to double check, even if it's coming from Ruiz, fact check it
Yeah. Also,
yourself.
yeah. Also,
See,
double.
here's
That. It's never enough to do a triple and quadruple check. Just try to check
well,
if it's reliable.
it's also reading the fine print, I think, as well, like knowing what's covered and what isn't covered. Because even the most reliable scholarships, in some cases, you don't get a fully funded scholarship,
Yeah.
and that can be big, a big, very big disappointment as well. But I feel like there is an institution. There's actually educational institution from the government who
Yeah.
used to do this. I don't know what happened to it. I feel there's a lot of opportunities that we miss. So I do want to talk a little bit about that as well. There's so many opportunities. And like one of the things that we don't know is that a lot of times Suriname is eligible, but we don't apply.
Yeah.
So there are like a lot of programs out there where we can get scholarships, but because we in Suriname don't know about it, we don't apply, and these scholarships go to other countries. And maybe to go to the next topic, Diego, the Latin versus Caribbean topic. Like, how much are we aware in the Caribbean in general, but in Suriname more specifically, of opportunities, scholarship and ambassadors opportunities that there are across the world?
Yeah, so sadly, I must say that we aren't aware enough as individuals, but also as the authorities that we have in Suriname. Also, the master for my master program, my thesis is about scholarship opportunities for Suriname students in the context of communication. Um, and I've done some benchmarking in the region, but also internationally. And one of the things is that those institutions that are responsible for sharing these opportunities, for communicating these opportunities, they are very active, especially on social media. They are very active through email marketing. You can subscribe to receive more information about those opportunities. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we have in Suriname, but also through the mostly the embassies, but also sometimes through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but also definitely through the Department of Study Facilities and Scholarships. Um, they don't really optimally communicate these kind of opportunities. Sadly, I have to say that because that's something one of the things I came across to analyze in during my research. The research is still ongoing, um, but also, for example, a lot of the opportunities are more on diplomatic level, like because I'm a friend nation with Japan or the Netherlands, um, if they send me the document with those opportunities, then I am able to communicate it. So that's kind of the way it's going here. But we can do more than that because the world of scholarships and opportunities is bigger and wider than only the diplomatic ties that we have with other countries.
It's interesting that you mentioned it. I think one of the most interesting scholarships I've seen was a full master scholarship from the World Bank and Japan. I'm talking about close to 20 years ago now, but that was really like one of the things was like you after you've completed your studies, you have to go back to Suriname.
Yeah,
Like that was, of course, one of the main
That's with a
criteria.
lot of
But
fully funded
yeah,
programs. It's kind of a
yeah.
requirement. Basically,
So
it's
how has
a
that changed?
aid.
Because
Mhm.
yeah, it's in it. But how has that changed now with COVID? Because in your case, you're doing your master's from Suriname. Like, how often do you actually have to go to Indonesia? And how has COVID brought change to that as well? Whereas, like previously, when I studied, I had to go to the country. Like the World Bank Japan scholarship was like, first of all, it was for excellent students. I wouldn't call my grades excellent, so there was already a little chance that I would get selected. But also, one of the things that definitely made it for me, like that I wasn't applying, was having to go to Japan for 2 years, which on one hand is like this amazing opportunity, and on the other hand, it's like, hold on, wait a minute, I'm gonna be gone for 2 years.
yeah. So actually, during the COVID period, that's when I applied for the master scholarship. Because COVID, everyone, we were mostly at home. You are doing a lot of stuff that you are doing already, a little extra, and then you're like, okay, what now? And that I'm gonna during COVID, I spent more time doing research for opportunities and scholarships, and doing online courses just to stay on track. Um, the requirement actually for the master program of communication science that I'm doing right now is that we needed to uh, travel to Indonesia. But because it was COVID and Indonesia still had restrictions for international students entering Indonesia, the first 2 semesters were online. Um, and when you also apply for a scholarship, even if it's online, you need to consider the time difference. The time difference from Suriname and Indonesia is like, I think, 10 or 11 hours. So right now it's 10 p.m. in Suriname, and there it's like 12 p.m. In the afternoon, I think, or 8 a.m., something like that. So our classes in Suriname were like 3 a.m. in the morning, and you need to consider that if you definitely really want to do the scholarship, and because you need to put in the effort, getting up like 1 a.m. to be ready at 3 a.m. to sit in front of your laptop or computer to do the online sessions. Um, but now the restrictions are like they are letting a lot of restrictions down, the government of Indonesia. And recently we received some information that we need to submit a lot of documents again, because we need to travel to Indonesia for the rest of the scholarship program. I think we still have 2 semesters. So actually they also stated that we needed to be there by August, and I was like, no, I have a business and I need to sort a lot of things, put a lot of things in place before traveling. So when is like the ultimate date for me to travel to Indonesia? And they were like, October could be okay, but I needed to check that with my thesis supervisor, and she was okay with that. So if everything's going well with the documentation, student permit, we will be traveling in October to Indonesia, and I think we still have around 6 to 8 months that we will be there.
One thing I'd like to add, I'm glad you mentioned that you know kind of pushed back. They said you need to be here by August, but you kind of negotiated that. If you do get these opportunities and you see certain restrictions, challenge them also. Write the organization directly to see what's possible. Because oftentimes they will kind of try and accommodate where possible. And that also shows how serious you are. Like, hey, it's clashing into personal or business for this applier or student.
Like it's not
And
a free ride. I actually have
yeah,
to do stuff.
exactly. So yeah,
That's
they
that's a
they
that's a valid point. That's a valid point. Or even during the application, filling in the application, you can just send them an email. That's some kind of a trick. Just send them
Yeah,
an email to ask them a question, even if you don't need the answer, but you're sending the email,
that
but just to demonstrate that, hey, I really want this, but I need more information.
yeah,
Um,
and
can you
also to
help me with
create
that?
that link relationship
Yeah,
also preemptively. Kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
tips and tricks here. Like you're
Okay.
preemptively networking, and that you're in their radar already.
Yeah.
Um,
Applying for programs 101 by Ruiz and Diego. Diego, we
uh,
actually have to go towards the over unders.
Yeah, so it's time we wrap up. So I think kind of already over the hour, just over the hour. So I think we'll keep it short to each. Ruiz, we're gonna ask you, give you a topic. You tell us if you think it's overrated, underrated. It's your personal opinion, and you may or may not, if you want to elaborate a bit on it, why you think it's over or underrated. So why don't you kick us off, Shanluk, with overrated,
Okay, okay.
underrated?
I'll give you a fun one to start off with, Ruiz. Real estate in Suriname, overrated or underrated?
uh Underrated. Yeah. We can do a lot more about that. And actually, I'm also planning in context of Jamur, to
Expand into real estate.
expand into real estate. Because look, seriously, because you are kind of all with all the experience with all the experience that I've gained the past years, connecting with people, doing some research in that context of real estate, but also the challenges that we have right now in Suriname about housing and real estate. For example, also the booming oil and gas industry, where a lot of expats from other countries will come to Suriname. We need to do more with real estate. If it's buying a piece of land, if it's renting a villa or anything, we need to do more with that. And also, okay, Jamur is more educational related, so it's most likely that we will focus on that part for students to have a place to stay or live in, eco-friendly. Yeah, because we talk about Jamur mushroom, eco-friendly, and we kind of also shifting towards that context.
You just mentioned, you actually gave me an idea. The oil and gas opportunities, overrated or underrated for Suriname?
They still are. They still are underrated. Yeah. Why do I say that? Is there needs to people underestimate the opportunities that lie in front of us regarding the oil and gas. And
Okay. Is it the opportunities that are underrated, or is it the oil and gas industry that is underrated?
uh 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. Because listen, like the opportunities are there, but they don't quite really communicate those opportunities well. But they are there. But and on the other side, people need to put in more time and effort in searching for what kind of opportunities can there be in that industry, and how can I, with my expertise, with my interests, can contribute within that industry. For example, I have a journalism and communication background. I could, not that I think about it, but I could, for example, write blogs about the oil and gas industry and the opportunities within that industry in Suriname, to bring more awareness. For example, hey, actually, I will think about it. Uh, so that's one of the things. So people need to individually take more effort and time to really research about this industry, and try to reflect on that based on their own expertise, based on their own professionalism, on how can I do something or contribute within this industry. But still, they're underrated.
Got it.
Interesting.
Shanuk?
So let's move to a little bit more of a social media topic. YouTube as an educational platform, overrated or underrated?
Uh, YouTube as an educational platform, it is, I would say, overrated. Why do I say that? Let me narrow it down. A lot of things, knowledge, examples you can find on YouTube, right? But my opinion is that it's really overhyped because how many people really use YouTube to educate themselves? Um, how many people? I know one of the I was at a networking event and I was organizing or planning to organize some trainings about presentation techniques and public speaking, and that's my expertise, especially. And someone approached me, and the person said, "Hey, you're the guy that conducts public speaking and presentation trainings." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And the person was like, "But people can find all that information on the internet and also YouTube. So what's the value of you doing these trainings?" And then I was like, I countered with another question. So I was asking the person, "Are you going to school?" He was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Your whole program you can find online also." And they were like, "Okay, you can find it on YouTube also." But people don't, especially in Suriname, maybe when you're stuck at something or a task or anything, you can. I'm also approaching YouTube, but I have a feeling it's not research based, but based on my experience and my observation, I have the feeling that it's overrated and people don't really use that for really educational purposes.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, it's your fair assessment. Okay. Last one to close us off. Spanish, underrated or overrated?
Uh,
You really went there, Diego.
uh, it's I would say it's overrated. It's overrated because based on the topic we are focused right now, um, um, the most common requirement, for example, is English. And also, if you research online, English will still be the number one most spoken language worldwide. English is the number one most spoken language in business, in networking. Um, and yes, speaking Spanish is really nice, and some people even say it's sexy. It sounds sexy, but it's kind of overrated. It's kind of overrated. Will it provide a lot of opportunities for you when you speak Spanish? If even you need to speak a lot of English, for example. But still, I also will do the Spanish courses because I want to broaden my horizon. But it's overrated.
Okay, got it. Awesome. Ruiz, we're a bit over time, but appreciate you for staying and bearing with us a bit with these juicy unders and overs. So to close us off, Ruiz, what can people expect from Jamur and from you as the inspirator in the short term, and where can they find you?
Yes, they can find my company Jamur on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We also have a website, Jamur Institute of Education and Advice. It will be the first thing popping up because it's the only one in Suriname.
Optimize for search. Yeah, just
Optimize,
Google
yeah,
it.
optimize. And we also have a tutoring platform, which is Jamur Tutoring Platform, the only platform which connects teachers and students easily together for guidance and thesis and all those kind of stuff. And that's online. And also, we don't have a physical office space anymore because of COVID. We had in a significant loss of income, which we needed to get rid of our office space. But we will get back with that part. And Ruiz Kartoredjo, they can find me on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, also Twitter. But you can follow me on Inspifator on Facebook and the other platforms just on Ruiz Kartoredjo. Let's connect. If you really want those opportunities, if you really want those scholarships, I'm there to support, and yeah, what they can expect, a lot of things, a lot of things regarding students, regarding business, corporate. From Ruiz itself, people can count on me that I will still be sharing all those opportunities and even thinking about coaching people and how to do this with a little incentive, for my time and effort to guide you and to get selected. So those are kind of the stuff that people can look out for.
Awesome. We're closing it off with a big up from Jern. And with that, we're closing off this conversation of social confos. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ruiz. Thank you, Diego. And we will be back with social confos next week, same place, same time. Bye bye.